very short article about grouping students, right? And I'm going to use a PowerPoint presentation here to ask you about groupings and how you've been grouped, during this program, and if you've been happy about the groupings that were made by teachers, or if they were pretty flexible, you were allowed to form your own groups, how that works, or if it didn't work, why not? Because this is important. But this is about groupings only. Remember that our main focus would be on cooperation. How can learners cooperate? How can they collaborate? In the classroom, and what can teachers do to make it possible? Okay. So let me have some impressions here on this article that you read. Ramses, you're in the middle of my screen, so can you go first?
Well, basically, the reading was like stating the different um, methods or plan that teachers can group their groups. For example, it is giving students the choice, which is you let the students to decide who they're gonna work with, and also there is the random grouping when it's that well, almost of our teachers have done that random grouping. It's enumerate from 1 to 4 and all ones or all twos or all threes and so on. And the final is select the groups yourself, which means that the teacher is gonna select the groups um, by himself or herself. He's gonna decide who are the strong students, who are the weak students, who are the ones that need more help, and that's pretty much like selecting the groups by the teacher. I also, well, personally, I'd say that um, I don't really care about like the grouping because I like to work with people, and if it's random grouping or if the teacher selects, I'm gonna give the best of me always. But well, um, uh, ultimately, I'd rather when we were in class, I always wanted, of course, with work with my friends because we know how we work. But also, if I got to put in a random group, I won't complain. I wouldn't complain.
On any other thoughts on the reading? There was a very short reading. Facts that you read there, things that resemble, what has happened in your classes and your lessons that you can talk about. Is okay. Go ahead, Fritz. Yes, thank you. How do teachers group them? How do teachers group students in your classes? How have they done this? Maybe some ideas like, okay, you're going to work in pairs, and then the teacher chooses who's going to be with whom, or there's some sort of flexibility, or when there's a pair, there's a group. Now, does the teacher, choose the members of that group? How is that, and is that effective, or do you have an opinion now about that? Things should be differently. Yeah, that's a very nice point. Absolutely. It's not a good idea to be working with the same guy. It's pretty comfortable though, right? To be working with the same chummies all the time. But yeah, you should learn to work with others to see that sometimes there might be challenges in doing that, but that's fine. Okay. Anybody else? Those who read the text.
Hello, teacher.
Buddy,
Um,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I like to share first my experience, within the classrooms. Well, mostly teachers, what they do is that they, number us. They say you are gonna number you from 1 to 5, and we number in that pattern. And then he says number ones with number ones, number twos look for number twos, and so on. Or sometimes the teacher says whether we to decide who we are gonna work with, or he does it, randomly. Especially when the group is like new, nobody knows them each other. What that is the teacher like habit. And the reading I read about teacher Paul Sellingson. I don't remember the last name. And I think that's a really good idea, to put a chart on the wall saying that students have to change their places every day so that they can be working with other people, and in that way, so I think that cooperation is working. That's all, teacher.
All righty. Thank you.